You know that feeling, right? That knot in your stomach right before a big test? Well, what if we could flip that script entirely? What if we could turn that anxiety into actual excitement? Today, we're diving into a really powerful way of thinking about assessment that puts kids first, all based on a fantastic article. Let's get into it. And this quote right here, this is the whole idea in a nutshell. It's not about just giving out grades. Imagine a teacher sees a kid as having a tough time with reading. Instead of just a low score, the teacher knows, okay, this is where they need help. That's when you can bring in fun phonics games or some one-on-one time. It's all about supporting, not just scoring. I just have to give a huge shout out to Bhuparaj Joshi for writing this. Honestly, the idea of using a simple game like Simon Says to see if kids are listening, it's just so simple, but so brilliant. And of course, a big thank you to Mallikarjun Kabar for getting these kinds of important conversations out into the world. So before we can talk about a better way forward, we have to get real about what's not working. Why is it that traditional exams, the high pressure, sit down and be quiet kind, so often just, well, crush the natural curiosity right out of our youngest learners? This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this old school one-size-fits-all model. It's all about stress and memorizing facts. But on the other side, you have something way more human, an approach that's flexible, engaging, and actually cares about a child's progress. It's a completely different mindset. And this is especially true for kids in those first few years of school, classes 1 through 3. Think about it. Those early years are like planting a garden. You want to gently nurture those little sprouts of curiosity, not stomp on them with heavy formal exams. It can really stunt their love for learning right from the start. And that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing, seeing the world through a child's eyes. To really do this right, you have to be able to step into their shoes. It's not about being the sage on the stage who knows everything, but more like the guide on the side, helping them discover things for themselves. So, what is it like being a 6-year-old in a classroom? Well, you've probably got a pretty short attention span. You're not thinking about abstract theories. You want to touch things, build things, learn by doing. You learn best through play, through songs, through stories. And, maybe most importantly, you're emotionally sensitive. You really thrive with encouragement, but you can shut down completely under fear and pressure. Okay, so we've talked about the why. Why it's so important to see things from their perspective. Now let's get into the how. How do we actually turn these ideas into things we can do in the classroom every day? The article is packed with awesome ideas, so let's check some out. Yeah, forget that silent, scary exam room. Instead, picture a classroom that's buzzing with fun. The teacher is leading a game of Simon Says to see who's really listening. And instead of a stressful oral exam, kids are doing show and tell, where they get to talk about their favorite toy. I mean, come on, doesn't that just sound like a way better way to learn? All right, making assessment fun is one thing, but you might be wondering, how do you track progress without just giving a grade? Well, the answer is something called portfolio assessment, and it's this really beautiful, holistic way to actually see a child's entire learning journey. A portfolio is basically like a scrapbook of a kid's learning adventure. It's not static, it grows with them all year. You can have their drawings, their writing samples, little notes the teacher jots down, even audio clips of them reading. Imagine being able to see and hear that progress. It's so much more meaningful than just a letter on a report card. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. A portfolio tells a story. You can actually see the journey. Maybe a student starts the year barely able to write a sentence, and by the end, you have this amazing little story they wrote. That narrative is way more powerful than any test score. So, the secret ingredient in all of this is something called formative assessment. It sounds kind of fancy, but it's a really simple idea. It just means the teacher is constantly checking in, giving little bits of feedback, and adjusting how they teach to make sure everyone's keeping up. It's like having a great coach who's always there with a helpful tip. Here's a way to think about it. Formative assessment is like a checkup with the doctor. It helps you stay healthy and catch any issues early. Summative assessment, on the other hand, is more like an autopsy. It just tells you what went wrong after it's already too late. This child-friendly system is all about the checkups, not the autopsy. One of the best things about this article is that it's not just theory. It gives real, practical solutions for real-world situations. For instance, in a country like Nepal, which has such incredible linguistic and cultural diversity, a single standardized test just wouldn't be fair. So the article talks about how to make assessments that actually work for everyone. And the solutions are just so clever and down to earth. Instead of needing expensive supplies, why not use what's around you? Bottle caps for counting? Stones for making patterns? It's brilliant. And if you have a big, crowded classroom, great. Use group projects to assess teamwork and how kids learn from each other. You turn a challenge into a strength. So as we start to pull all of this together, it's worth asking a really big question. What is the point of all this? What's the true goal of assessment? Is it just to rank and sort kids? Or is it something more? Something like helping them become curious, passionate, lifelong learners? I think we all know the answer. I'm sure we've all had teachers who felt more like examiners than guides. But the ones we really remember, right, the ones who made a difference, they were facilitators. They didn't just hand us the answers, they helped us figure out how to find them for ourselves. That's the shift we're talking about. Ultimately, the goal is to make assessment pretty much invisible. It should just be a natural part of the learning process, so much so that kids don't even know it's happening. It's kind of like a good referee in a soccer match. You barely notice they're there, but they're making sure the game is fair and everyone gets a chance to play their best. So, what's the big takeaway? We've seen that assessment doesn't have to be this scary, stressful thing. It can actually be a joyful and empowering part of learning that helps kids build confidence. The question I want to leave you with is this. In our own lives, in our own communities, how can we help transform assessment from a moment of fear into a genuine act of support? Thanks for tuning in.